pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have meeting minutes for May 11, 2021. Did everybody have a chance to look at them? You need more time? What's your pleasure?
I'm good, Ernie.
Okay. Anybody move the approval of the minutes then?
I'll move it.
Oh, Scott moves.
I'll
And Joe
second.
Logan seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we've had the correspondence from Mr. and Mrs. Nelson with regard to the 1086 Strong Road subdivision, from Morris Steed with regard to the same subdivision, Chadwick Tuttle and Sherry Whaley, also the 1086 Strong Road subdivision, and from Andrew Forbes with regard to Champion Hills Country Club. And I should note that what's on tonight is not a public hearing, so there won't be any questions submitted tonight. Whatever questions you have, save them for the preliminary, or you can always send them to us by email or regular mail. Okay, Ed, you hear anything going on with the town board we should know about?
As soon as I can unmute, can you hear me all?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, this coming town board meeting, I believe, is gonna be just to pay bills. And the next scheduled one will be the end of the month. So let me just double check my handy dandy calendar. On the 28th, there will also be a 6 p.m. workshop prior to the town board meeting regarding marijuana dispensaries. So that should be fairly interesting. Coming soon to a town near you.
Wow.
We'll see how that all goes, but it'll be very interesting. And really, that's it for right now.
Okay, well, thanks, Ed. Any other committees or boards represented here tonight? I don't see anybody, so we'll proceed. The legal notice for the public hearings appeared in the Daily Messenger, along with under review signs being posted on the subject parcels. Postcards were mailed to property owners within a minimum of 500 feet from the location where the initial public hearing date of each application. For applications carried over, please refer to the Planning and Building Office. In regard to the public hearings we have tonight, speakers are requested to limit comments to 3 minutes and will be asked to conclude comments at 5 minutes. Did I miss anything? Lisa, I missed you again. What's happening next time?
Making me come back.
There you go.
Your next meeting is on June 22nd. You have Woods at Valentine coming back for a reapproval at High Point Drive for their 288 for rent apartments with 12 buildings. It had underground parking. And you have public hearing Scout Path preliminary on Aldridge Road. Applicant is requesting approval to subdivide the 8.84 acre parcel into 5 building lots ranging in size from 0.813 acres to 5.09. The sketch plan was acknowledged on February 25th of 2020. And then we do have Wilkins RV scheduled to come back on June 22nd also for their demolishing their existing showroom and constructing a new one. And any carryovers.
Okay, thank
And
you.
as previously discussed, that's going to be an in-person meeting, correct?
Yes, we are planning on having that in person.
That's correct. We needed time to notify the public of that, and I guess now we have, or that's being done. So it's an open public hearing. Okay. Now the first one, which is the Guinan Minor Subdivision, I have to recuse myself. So Joe Logan is going to handle that one.
Thanks, Ernie. You said, Ernie, before you go, that this was not a public hearing?
This is a public hearing.
It is a public hearing. I thought you said it wasn't. So, okay, so Lisa, if you could read the public notice, please. You're muted.
The legal notice for the public hearings appeared in the Daily Messenger along with the under review signs posted on the subject parcels. Postcards were mailed. Oh, was that, you want the legal notice? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just caught myself. Hold on. Give me one moment. Guiding minor subdivision located 64565 County Road 41 is requesting approval to subdivide the 116.964 acre parcel in 2 lots. The existing home will consist of 5 acres and the remaining 111.964 acres will make up the second lot. Applicant is requesting a waiver from design and construction standards, and the property is owned by Edward Guinan and is zoned residential 2. The virtual public hearing will be held on Tuesday, June 8th at 7 p.m.
Okay. So who's here for representing this application?
My name's Diane Guinan. So I want to make one correction.
Sure.
The house parcel is 4.964, and the remaining acreage is 112. I think it came out wrong, and we tried to correct that before, but the survey should show 4.964 acres that go with the house, 112 acres remaining. And so it's a property that was farmed by my family, and my parents have passed, and so it's gone to the estate. And as much as we'd love to keep that in the family, it just wasn't something we can do. And so what we're requesting is to have the house and 4.964 acres subdivided from the 112 acres as we have a buyer who's interested in buying that parcel.
Okay, I'm sharing the screen
Okay.
so that those can see the map. And just so you can address it again, this parcel here is the one that was changed slightly or corrected.
That previous to this request, we made a request for a lot line adjustment. So what you just circled is on the corner of the property. That was a lot line adjustment that was approved, and a half acre was given to my brother that lives on that corner, and a half acre was given to another brother that lives on the other corner, but the house is in the center. You'll see lot 1 equals 4.96.
All right.
Nothing really will change other than, so the home will stay a home. It's serviced with water from the town. There's gas coming to the property and a sewer. The sewer has been inspected. And so I don't, unless there's questions, there's not, right now the land is for sale. We have a buyer interested in half, but that will be another discussion another day. So right now, it's not a subdivision like many subdivisions would be, where we have a developer coming in. That's not what we're trying to do. We're just really breaking off the house so that we have a buyer who's interested, and so we could sell that property.
Okay. So, Wes, did you have any comments before I open up to the board?
Thanks, Joe. Yes. So Labella provided a letter dated June 4th on this project, this subdivision. Fairly straightforward as far as we're concerned at Labella. There are several notes on the plan, the subdivision map that we'd like to see updated with regard to residential overlay zoning district, minimum lot size, providing a signature block and seal and signature of the design professional who prepared the plan. Lot access. So for the 112 acre remaining lands portion, there appears to be an existing farm lane that's pretty close to the the east side of the parcel, and so that should provide lot access for the large remaining lands area. And for the wastewater soil testing, it's acknowledged that there's an existing septic system with the existing house, the 4.9 acre parcel. There probably, since there is no proposed development here with this application, and the size of the lot, the remaining lands being 112 acres, there's probably no need for them to do a wastewater soil testing in terms of perk tests. That can be done at another time. And then lastly, it appears that this is a type unlisted action under seeker. So just they've submitted a short environmental assessment form and nothing further required from the applicant in that regard. So that's all I've got.
Okay, that's great. Thanks. I will open it to the board. Al Galena, any comments?
No questions or comments. Looks pretty straightforward.
All right, Scott?
No, I don't think I have anything. I imagine we're gonna see this later on down the line when a new owner comes along, so. I don't have
Okay.
anything.
Good. Well, that's a good point. This is still early bit, but and there's three of us that really can act on it tonight in any case, because Ernie's recused and Joe's not here. So I don't have an objection with this or a problem with the way it is, and I appreciate your comments, Wes. So Lisa or Sue, are there any comments from the community?
It would be Susie.
Susie?
Sorry, no, there are no YouTube comments.
Okay. All right, in that case, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll move.
Al moves. Scott, I assume seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So public hearing is closed and we have a resolution for this, I believe. I will stop sharing unless. All right. Okay, so resolution for the Guinan Minor subdivision, application 03 MS 2021. Whereas the planning board made the following findings of fact, and there are 9 of them. I don't believe I have to make any date changes or corrections on these, Wes. The comments of June 4th are current, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Whereas the town of Victor Planning Board reviewed the unlisted action on June 8th, 2021 and identified no significant impacts. Now therefore be it resolved that the project Guinan Minor subdivision will not have a significant impact on the environment, and then a negative declaration will be prepared. And be it further resolved that the planning board waives the town's design and construction standards for section 1.2 requirements for the subdivision of land, including section 1831 for individual subsurface disposal systems, and be it further resolved that the application of Diane Guinan, executive of estate of Edward Guinan Minor subdivision entitled Guinan Minor subdivision, application 03 MS 2021 be approved with the following conditions. Conditions that must be met prior to the chairman signing the minor subdivision plan. And there are 1, 2, 3 standard. Number 4 is that comments in the letter dated June 4th, 2021 from Labella Associates be addressed. And number 5, that the applicant shall be aware that approval of a subdivision does not mean that the parcel is an approved building lot. Site plan approval is required prior to it becoming a buildable lot and before a building permit can be issued. This shall be noted on the subdivision plan. Conditions that are ongoing, standard conditions that must be adhered to. Number 1 is standard. Number 2, the approved subdivision maps, including conservation easements, lot consolidations, and lot line adjustments, shall be submitted in digital format, AutoCAD 2002 or latest version, effective January 1st, 2004, per town resolution 193 of June 23rd, 2003. And be it therefore be it resolved that the planning board secretary distribute the planning board's approval letter. I have a motion for approval.
Move it.
Scott moves. Al, I presume seconds. All in
Second.
favor? Aye.
Aye.
Carried 3-0. So we're all set with this phase of it. Okay,
Okay,
And-
thank you, Joe.
call Ernie back in. That's good.
And I should note that with regard to these applications that are on the table today, because we're missing Joe Limback, he's away on vacation. It needs to be 3 out of the 4. So everybody listening is aware of that. All right, the next item on the agenda is Champion Hills Country Club, 04 SU 2021, Zone Residential 1, 675 Championship Drive. Owner is Belton Properties LLC. Tax map number 15.00-2-79.110. Applicant is requesting a special use permit to remove the conditions that require Champion Hills Country Club to remain a private club. Okay, who's here for this? Chris?
Good evening. Chris Nadler. I'm General Counsel for Mark IV Enterprises, the owner of Champion Hills Country Club and Fountain Properties LLC. Thank you all very much for taking the time to listen to this. As I believe you know, we've had extensive discussions with the town about this. Champion Hills has been losing money in the hundreds of thousands of dollar range for several years. We'd like to have a little bit more flexibility so that we can hopefully turn a profit and continue operations for this really great facility. As you know, as we talked about when I was here a couple months ago, getting approval for the Fairways Phase 3 project. This is a great club. There's been no complaints about it. Nobody said it's too noisy. Nobody said there's too much traffic. Nobody said that there's a bunch of hooligans spilling out from the golf course after league night. This is a well-run, fairly high-end golf course and facility. The problem is with limitations on private membership, we simply cannot generate enough revenue to continue operations. We just, it's running significantly in the red. We've had conversations about this with Supervisor. He indicated that he thought we would be successful at the planning board getting this condition approved. He spoke with the new owners of the Legacy and the new owners of the Fairways Phase 1 and 2 townhouses. They had no objection to eliminating this restriction. He spoke with members of the town board. They had no objection to eliminating this private club restriction. The private club restriction, I think, came about in 2006 and 2007 when there was uncertainty. The planning board at the time didn't know what kind of facility this was going to be. They didn't know if it was going to be similar to Victor Hills or Ravenwood. And it's set in a neighborhood setting. There's residential houses on both sides, and there was concern. So this restriction was placed on. In 2006, after a multi-year review, the town board passed a seeker resolution. That's just a few highlights from that. It says, as noted by the town traffic consultant, limitations on the golf course, clubhouse operating officers, on the golf course clubhouse operating hours will not result in a significant impact on the projected levels of service for area roadways and intersections. The seeker document also said that as part of its review for special use permit, the planning board will consider additional mitigation measures for the golf course, including limitations on the size of events, hours of operation, lighting, size of the facility, and golf course hole modification. After the seeker was completed, the planning board issued a special use permit in 2007. There were 4 conditions on that permit. 1, limit the size of events to those that will be accommodated by on-site parking. 2, hours of operation will be limited to 6 a.m. to midnight with an additional hour for employees Number 3, facility use shall be limited to functions of the private membership and their respected guests to the golf course and Fairways Town homeowners. And the 4th had to do with golf course layout modifications. In 2012, for reasons required by the New York State Liquor Authority, Champion Hills requested and was granted a modification to the special use permit by this board. The conditions there were 3. Although the clubhouse will not be restricted to the private membership and their guests, the adjacent recreational areas and facilities, including the pool and golf course, will be restricted to the private membership and their guests. The applicant will not publicize in any form that the clubhouse will not be restricted to the private membership. And number 3, the planning board will have the right to review the operations of the clubhouse and the facilities on an annual basis and will be authorized to add or delete conditions to the special use permit as it deems necessary. Now, what did that get us? It got us a maximum pool capacity of 102 bathers, a maximum clubhouse capacity of 122 individuals. Those are health department restrictions. And then we have a restriction on our golf number from between 7 and 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. The maximum number of rounds that could be played is 324. That's with a 9-minute interval between starts. That's what our golf course professional told me is the maximum number that could be accommodated. It's never been there, but that is the absolute most we could ever have. We have only 106 parking spaces on site, so that further limits how much we can actually, our actual capacity. So we have 102 in the pool, 122 in the clubhouse, 324 on the golf course at any given day. What are we looking to change here? Nothing. We want the exact same numbers. Those are the exact same numbers that is the most we can have. 102 at the pool, 122 at the clubhouse, and 324 on the golf course. There will be no increase in traffic from what we currently have approved. There will be no increase in noise or light from what we currently have approved. Our season pass holders will have the exact same privileges as members. There will simply be no change in impacts from this requested modification to our special use permit. Our request complies with the town code section 21142 for special use permit for recreational areas. Won't be detrimental to adjacent properties because it's not going to change any from what we currently have approved. It will not create a hazard of any nature to adjacent owners or occupants because we're not going to change anything that we already have approved, and will not unreasonably interfere with the lawful enjoyment of public highways or adjacent property. We're looking for the exact same number of vehicle trips and golf course and clubhouse users as we already have approved. The only thing this will allow us to do is hopefully increase our revenue so we can be able to continue operating this great facility for the residents of Victor and the surrounding areas. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, first, Wes, do you have any comment?
Thanks, Ernie. So I did get an opportunity to take a look at the request. We did not put together any comment letters at this point. I did coordinate with Kim on the timing of any potential review and not providing a letter for this meeting. And we'd like to defer. I'd like to kind of defer to the other planning board members to get some of their comments and feedback and see what they might have to say.
Okay. Start with Scott. Go around the wheel this way.
Okay, I noticed when I went through the material, it seems like some of the planning board members today were planning board members when this has gone through in the past. And I'm a newer planning board member, so I don't have the history perhaps as some of you do. I guess in listening to Chris speak about the proposal, it sounds like we're just changing the word private to public, and all the other constraints still hold as part of the special use permits. So I guess I'd like to listen to the other members and what they think of the application. They're more knowledgeable about the project than I am historically.
And when Joe and I were on the board when this was first before the board, Al, were you in yet?
I was for the modification 2012.
Okay. You want to go next?
Sure. So I guess my question would be, right, if the intent of the applicant is that there's fundamentally no change in the number of expected customers or guests to come and use the facilities, then, and I understand the business model right now is losing money according to what you said. So if you're not drawing more people to the site, then what's the purpose or the goal of changing the restriction from private to public?
Al, that's a great question. The goal is to draw more people to the site, but we won't be drawing any more people than what this planning board has already approved, than what we could draw to the site under our current approval. Our current approval would let us have 324 rounds of golf, 102 swimmers. As a private club, we can't get them. You know, this is a high-end cottage-style golf course. We have some great members, long-term members, and a lot of loyalty. But there's a maximum number of people who want to pay, you know, in the thousands of dollars a year to play golf at a 9-hole cottage-style golf course. You know, we'd like to draw some more members in. Victor has a great reputation for being a available public golf courses. Actually, this isn't going to be like that. It's a 9-hole cottage style golf course. You're not attracting the same type of people that you would at some of the golf courses in Victor. Our public rate, if we're allowed, would be $47 for 9 holes on a weekday and $52 for 9 holes on a weekend. That would be by far the highest rate in the area. We're trying to attract serious golfers who want to play a cottage style course. I don't anticipate, our golf professional doesn't anticipate a lot of repeat customers. We're not going to get a bunch of foursomes who want to go out, drinking and partying on a golf course. We have a liquor license and a owner that his liquor license isn't his source of income, so he really can't afford to screw around with the New York State Liquor Authority here. The goal is to bring more people in, but the kind of people and the number of people won't change any impacts. And even if it did, we would be allowed those same numbers as a private facility. We just can't get the members.
Okay, so effectively, if we're still capping the capacity consistent with what it was, from a private membership, then in my mind, that really is the mitigating factor, the control factor that doesn't create any additional environmental impacts.
Thank you. I did prepare a proposed resolution. I don't know if you're using it or if Kim's provided a different one, but it keeps those same conditions. The planning board limits the size of events to those which will be accommodated with on-site parking, same hours of operation restrictions.
So just one more question, which would be, I guess, a potential alternative, right, in the event that the board didn't approve this positively, right, is, there's a set membership fee today, whatever that is, I don't know, right? But according to what you just said, right, it's fairly significant. I mean, could you effectively get to the same outcome if you said, look, a membership fee is $100 annual fee, right? And then, right, you could basically still increase the draw on the facility because, right, it's then basically becomes a cost per use, right? And you're not really not relying on the membership fee, but a usage fee. So
or a nickel we could charge as they pay their their, their green space.
Green Street.
Right. And so again, the reason why I bring that up is, right, the fact that it's public versus private, really, it's not an effective control at the end of the day anyway, so.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And that's what we're trying to do here is not play around. I think we could successfully play around and get what we want, but I'd rather just do it, on the up and up with the town.
Well, that's all I had, Ernie. Any thoughts I had?
Thank you.
Great, thanks, Bill. Bill?
Yeah, I was on the board when we approved this. And it was a long process, as I'm sure, Chris, you probably recall, or at least know of. And the question I had as I was listening to your explanation of where you are with the, the losses and things is, you made a statement, you can't get any more than you have now. Well, have you even come close to getting that? Is that what you're saying? Is the number of rounds is low, and is that because you don't have all of the units built? Or is it truly because you can't get the memberships numbers, or both?
I don't think it has to do with the units. The initial goal was to have Legacy and Fairways residents be the membership, and it just didn't materialize.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know exact numbers, but I think probably 5 or 10% of the phase 1 and 2 fairways are members. Most of our members come from out of the development. The number of rounds played with a private membership, they pay a one-time annual fee. Then they can play as many rounds as they want. We do probably have members who play back to back, or come back in the afternoon. So the number of rounds with a private membership, it's the same amount of traffic. It just doesn't make us any money.
So I just want to make sure I understand the new proposed model. You're still going to have the memberships, or are you going to have two different types, one membership and then one public access, one-time use, say, and not have to?
It will say that's exactly it. It'll be essentially a semi-private club. There'll be season pass holders who have the exact same privileges as our members do right now: use of the pool, unlimited golf, use of the facilities. And then we'll also accept, with reservations, members from the public.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I saw some comments from the residents regarding traffic and things like that. And from how you've explained it, and I think it makes sense, is there won't really be any increase in traffic because, first of all, you guys aren't even finished building out yet. And secondly, you can only have so many people playing it in a day anyway. So
that's exactly it.
And I'm sympathizing with and agree with Al's comments and Scott's thoughts as well. So I'm good. That's all the comments or questions I had, Ernie.
Thank you.
Okay. And I would just comment that at the time this was originally proposed, and the reason why these restrictions were put on was it was a feeling of some of the board members are not on the board anymore, that this might cause a problem with the neighborhood, with traffic and everything else that goes with it. And it hasn't turned out to be that way. So I think you've established pretty much that what you're going to do, what you have been doing, isn't going to be disruptive, but you should be aware that the eye is always on you. So
absolutely,
that's all I can say. Yeah.
Thank you.
So Ernie, with that, do we have anything in there, or the conditions are the same? Basically, we can review it from year to year.
See how we usually do with a special use permit.
So that is a condition of the approval in the draft resolution.
Okay, thanks, Kim.
It is?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, I don't have an objection moving ahead with the resolution once everybody else's questions, and maybe we have some online, but
Just if I could make one quick comment, this has come before the town board. They were in supportive of it, as Chris had mentioned earlier. And also there have been no complaints from the codes department at all in any regard to Champion Hills, just so you guys know.
Thanks,
So
sir.
even though we said that, over multiple years we've been reviewing it, they've had no complaints. So just as a background.
Thank you.
Well, we do like good neighbors.
Okay, well, we do have a resolution. Oh, but Susie, anybody calling in on this?
No, there are no comments.
Thank you. I said the resolution is for Champion Hills Country Club, 675 Championship Drive, today's date, 6/8/21. Application number 04SU 2021. Whereas the planning board made the following finding of fact, and there are several of them, 12 to be exact. Whereas the town of Victor Planning Board reviewed the unlisted action on June 8, 2021, and identified no significant impacts. Now therefore be it resolved that the project Champion Hills Country Club special use permit will not have a significant impact on the environment, and that a negative declaration be prepared. Now therefore be it resolved that the application of Fountain Properties LLC for an amendment to the special use permit received by the Planning Board May 7, 2021, Planning Board application number 04SU 2021 be approved with the following conditions. Conditions to be addressed prior to the chairman's signature on the site plan. Number one, the comments from code enforcement officer dated May 26, 2021 be addressed. Two, that the planning board limits the size of events to those which will be accommodated by on-site parking. Three, that the hours of the golf course and associated facilities shall be limited to 6 a.m. to 12 a.m., that's midnight, allowing employees an additional hour. And four, the planning board will have the right to review the operations of the clubhouse and the facilities on an annual basis, and will be authorized to add or delete conditions to the special use permit as it deems necessary. And be it further resolved that the zoning board secretary distribute the planning board's approval letter. Do we have a motion on this?
I'll move it.
Scott moves, second,
I'll second.
Joe seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ernie, did you want to close the public hearing?
Oh, yes, and we have a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Al moves
Al's got it.
Joe
I'll
seconds.
second it. I'll second it.
Okay,
Public hearing is closed.
thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. We will be coming back and on other projects to this board in the near future, and I look forward to it. And we invite you all to come out and play golf at Champion Hills.
Have a good evening.
Chris?
Okay.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Next item is Keystone Novelties Fireworks, 15 SP 2021 and 05 SU 2021 at 7161 State Route 96. Owner is BB Route 96 LLC. Tax map number 15.00-1-19.111. This is zone commercial / light industrial. Applicant is requesting approval to set up a 20 by 40 tent to operate a retail sale of sparkler products for the 4th of July holiday. Operating hours will be from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., increasing to 10 p.m. on July 2nd and 11 p.m. on July 3rd and 4th, with someone on the property 24 hours a day. We have some staff comments. Planning board is to address setback issues, any lighting since the tent will be open for sales after dark, and any signs and size and location. Okay, I saw somebody here for a Keystone Fireworks set.
Yes.
Here you go.
Hi, my name is Alex Mutzabal, and I'm with Keystone Novelties. I had those comments on him, and I just wanted to address those quickly. As for the setbacks, I looked myself just to kind of reassure, and I wasn't certain if they were regulated anywhere for a certain distance past setbacks or property lines. But as shown on the map, we set back 40 feet for where our tent is, and off of the road where the marking is for our distance, I know the property's setback is 30 feet. So our tent is actually 10 feet currently back from the property line. So if there is a necessary need for us to move back further to accommodate that that is something that we obviously have a bit of room to move back slightly for. For the lighting, we do provide, as you can see on the map as well, a generator. It's a 3,000 watt generator that we just use for basically lighting once the natural light's gone, and we can operate for a few more hours. And it's used to power the and recharge the point of sale technology, as we basically do all sales from an iPad tablet. So that keeps us just in business for the day if that happens to start draining power during the day. And then the last one was the signage, which I did see that the image was shown. The two signs that we typically use that are banner signs that are basically roped to the side walls of the tent. So those would be actually hung against the sides of the tent shown. And as their sizes are presented, it would be a 3x10 for the large Keystone Fireworks banner, and then a 4x6 for the buy one, get one. And we do have two other signs that sometimes are interchanged, and they basically say open, or I think the other one is free fireworks, basically to advertise that we do of course, buy so much you can get some fireworks free. And those are sometimes interchanged, but we would of course be limited to still just using one of those 4x6 signs, whether it's the buy one, get one, or a sign that says free. But those would be the two signs that we would actually be using and hanging on the side walls of the tent. Other than that, our tent layout is a similar style, which we've done for a few years now that we've been operating here in Victor. And our sale would basically mimic as we always have. So if there's any questions regarding that, I'd be happy to help answer those.
Wes, you have any comment?
No comments on this application, Ernie. Thanks.
Thanks, Wes. Okay, we'll go to the board here. Joe Logan?
No, I think this is pretty straightforward. They've done this before, as you mentioned, so other than the setback, if it needs to be a little bit further back, I'm fine with it. That's quite a wide DOT right of way along there, so I don't know if that's going to be terribly effective, but that's all I got.
Okay, thanks. Scott?
The only question I had is it going to be essentially identical to what went on last year and the previous year? Same layout, same type of signage appearance from a street view?
Yeah, this would basically be mimicking the exact same thing that we've been doing for I believe it's about 4 or 5 years that we had our previous approvals through. So this would pretty much just be continuing it as we have been.
Okay. I have no further questions or comments.
No?
I'm all set. Thanks, Ernie.
Okay, as am I. This has been there for several years and no problems, and I don't anticipate any in the future. Susie, any calls from the residents? Or
No,
anybody?
there are no comments.
Thank you. All right, we'll close the public hearing. I have a motion to do that.
So moved.
Who's gonna do it? Joe moves, Scott seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing is closed. And we have a resolution here. For Keystone Fireworks Tent, 7161 State Route 96. Today's date, 6/8/21, application number 15 SP 2021 and 05 SU 2021. Whereas the planning board made the following findings of fact, and there are 10. Whereas the Town of Victor Planning Board reviewed the unlisted action on June 8, 2021, and identified no significant impacts. Now therefore be resolved that the project Keystone Fireworks Tent will not have a significant impact on the environment, and that a negative declaration be prepared. It further resolved that the application of Keystone Novelties LLC received by the Planning Board May 14, 2021, Planning Board Site Plan Application number 15 SP 2021, and Special Use Application 05 SU 2021 be approved with the following conditions. One, that comments from Code Enforcement Officer dated June 3, 2021 be addressed. Two, that a peddler/solicitor's license be obtained from the town clerk prior to erecting the tent and sales. Three, that if the peddler/solicitor's license is suspended, the tent will be removed at the owner's expense within 10 days. 4, that hours of operation from June 23 to July 1 to be 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. to 9 p.m. 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. July 2 from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. and July 3 and 4, 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. 5, that the site plan approval will be rescinded within 10 days of the filing of a formal complaint to the code enforcement officer if such complaint is not resolved within that 10-day period. 6, that in the event lighting is desired, it will need to be code compliant and possibly be required to be reviewed by the planning board. 7, that any temporary signage be removed from the site entrance during non-business hours and shall not be placed within the State Route 96 right-of-way per town code. 8, that there be a limit of, what did we do last year? Was it 2 signs?
Yeah, we've been with 2.
Okay, there'll be a limit of 2 signs on the tent and should be compliant with town code. And be it further resolved that the planning board secretary distribute the planning board's approval letter. We have a motion.
So moved.
Joe moves, second. And Scott, second. All in favor?
All right,
Aye. Did I close the public hearing?
You did.
Thank you. It's my phone. Okay, you're all set.
Right, thank you.
And as indicated earlier, Wilkins RV has been tabled until the June 22nd meeting. So the next application is for a sketch application for 1086 Strong Road subdivision. I will note again for those listening in, this is not a public hearing, so no questions or comments will be taken at this time. This is only to be whether the sketch application is complete. If this is approved, then it's not an approval of the subdivision. It just takes them to their next step, which presents what they want to do with this subdivision.
Ernie, real quick
This is
for the public's
particularly-
benefit, if I may.
Yes, sure.
Just wanted to mention that this is the first step in a major subdivision review process. So for those who might not be aware, there's a 3-step subdivision application process in the town of Victor for subdivisions that involve creation of 4 or more lots. And since this particular subdivision is seeking to create approximately, I believe it's 11 lots, right? This is the first step in the 3-step process. And it's really an opportunity for the applicant to informally present their proposal and for them to obtain feedback from planning board members so that a preliminary design can be brought forth at a later date for consideration by not only the board, but as you said, a future public hearing where the public will be afforded that opportunity to speak on the potential design of the subdivision application. And then there's the final subdivision stage. That's, if we get to that part, that's just another opportunity for a little more design review and potentially comments at that point. So I just wanted to start with that too. Thanks.
Thanks, Wes. Does anybody on the board have any comment or questions? Scott?
No, I don't have any.
Okay, Al?
no questions at this time, Ernie.
Thanks, Joe.
No, I was reading some of the correspondence. There were some objections to the fact that it looks more like a development, subdivision development, closely spaced homes and things. But when I look at the aerial, they look the same across the street, just a little bit wider than they do on the map. And I don't know if you want me to go into that now or you want to wait for further discussion, Ernie?
Doug, are you here for this one?
You're muted, Doug.
Muted. So are you, Steve.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Can you
Now
hear
we
me now?
can.
Can you hear me now?
Can.
I'm Doug Eldred from Douglas Eldred Site Engineering. You guys probably thought you got rid of me 2 years ago when I retired. But I'm back. I got bored.
It's nice to have you back.
I see you brought Steve Deanna with you.
Pardon me?
Hello, gentlemen.
Yeah, so Steve Deanna is going to be the developer of the property from A6 Property Holdings. And then likely Jay Carrington from Build Your Own Homes would be the builder for the project. I can do a regular presentation, right, guys?
Yeah.
Okay. So the site's at the southwest corner of Strong and Taylor Roads, about 34.9 acres. It's in the R2 zoning district, and it's also in the overlay or A overlay district. So the development is limited to 0.33 lots per acre, which comes up to 11 lots. The subdivision includes the subdivision we're proposing would have all frontage lots. The homestead, the Yacht Family Homestead, would be on about 1.5 acres at the corner of the property, the northeast corner of the property. And that would include the house, the garage, and its environmental setting with the hedgerows that go around it. And then the rest of the property, except the southwest corner of the property, is currently used mainly for pasture land for cows. And at the southwest corner of the property, there is a woodlot, some steep slopes. You can see it there on the overlay. An intermittent stream runs through there. Most of the area of that drains to the intermittent stream. So obviously that's a pretty good candidate for a conservation easement, and that's exactly what we're proposing. Let's see. The other areas of the site, like I said, is mainly pasture land, and it generally drains to a low area in the property where I've shown an infiltration area. I don't know if you can see that. Don't believe I can do any pointing, so at least I'm not that technologically advanced. But so we would include 17 acres of the pasture land to come up with a total of 50% of the property that would be in a open space situation. The 17 acres of pasture land we'd like to do is a open space easement. We really wouldn't want to disallow, gardening or landscaping or something along those lines, since there's really no disturbance of land that would be proposed. There's no sewers on the property. We'd be doing individual septic systems. And in fact, we have completed a perk test deep hole program for the property, and we have very good perks. They're 5 to 10 minutes. There's no groundwater, no deep hole. Really, really nice situation for septic systems. We would be bringing water main to the site. You have to extend it about 750 feet down Strong Road, and then we would extend it east and west along Taylor and Strong Road respectively to cover the property. As Joe alluded, there was some comments about the property looking a bit trackier routinely, but if you follow me a little bit, I want to kind of guide you through why the property layout is the way it is. There are two main situations out here. One is this low draw area, if you will, or kettle, or whatever you want to call it, a hole in the ground where everything drains to. Thank you, Ernie. And that actually runs northeast, southwest for some distance between lots 4 and lots 10. So we have this area where we really can't do anything with it. And then the other situation is the site distances out here. Site distances along Taylor Road are generally good, except for at lot 8. And you'll notice lot 8 is much wider than the rest of them. So to get proper site distance, we would be having a driveway entrance on the west side of that. And the reason for that is right up at the, Ernie, up a little bit. Yep, right there. Up other way. Anyways, the reason for that is there's a hill just before you get to the Taylor Road, Strong Road intersection that affects site distance pretty significantly for that lot. Likewise, on lots 10 and 11, there are situations there that affect site distance. There's a kind of a good location on 11. We're sort of at the top of a little hill and can see in both directions. And then 10 can have pretty good site distance or good site distance in both directions. And then, so we got lots 1 through 7, if you will, that because of site distance and topographic constraints, and I'll continue to describe the topographic constraints a little bit more in a moment here, that do end up being, more routine. They're 150-foot wide lots. They're not undersized per code. They're 150% of the minimum, which is 100 feet. So they're all in conformance with the code, and they're 920 plus feet deep. So that makes them 3-acre lots in general. And, they completely conform with that surrounding the neighborhood density, so to speak, in addition to the conforming with the code, obviously. So one of the folks had mentioned they'd like to see some staggering of the buildings, and so I just want to touch on that a little bit. And so lots 1 through 4, the property drains down towards the road, and we can have the septic system in the front. So those lots or those houses on those lots can certainly be staggered and staggered back, I guess, if you want to call it that. In the front would be the septic system at the low side of the lot. Then if we look at 5, 6, and 7, the land drops below the road. So we have limited ability to put the septic systems in before we get to the low area. So those houses will tend to be more towards the front of the lot, if you will. And that's the reason for that, is we have to have, we want to be downhill to the septic systems, but I don't want to get the septic systems in this infiltration area. And the infiltration area is much bigger than the little blurb I'm showing on the land, on the property there. So it's kind of the land and the site distance, everything combined sort of dictated the layout on the property. And like I said before, it's 100% conforming. And we did pay attention to site distance pretty significantly, as it is somewhat of a concern out there. And then, I just mentioned, and the other thing, of course, is we're looking at raw land. There'll be plenty of landscaping and things of that nature. And in general, I think the site layout is quite nice. We had talked over maybe doing a couple of flag lots and putting them on top of the hill, but the top of the hill would be to the south center area. But that would tend to affect the value of all those surrounding lots. So we ended up with it the way it is. And the next thing I'd like to, I never seem to really follow my notes, but it's nice to write them anyway. The next thing I want to talk about a little bit is the access management plan. In the Labella's comments, they indicated that the road is classified as a through local road, and for obvious reasons, it is a collector of sort because it picks up a fair amount of lands to the north and south. And with that designation, there's a suggestion that the driveway should be 440 feet apart, as Wes put in his notes. But I wanted to, kind of frame this as this is, in fact, rural roads. I mean, they're not high traffic volumes. They're actually very low. And in fact, Steve Deanna, who many of you know is an engineer as well, did some traffic counts for me. And I don't know, Wes, if you could put those up or someone. I was kind of relying on somebody with more technological skills to put the traffic counts up for me. And I think Lisa said that she thought that Wes would be there you go. Joe Logan's the man, as always. So if you take a look at these, if you can see them, but the volumes on Strong Road are really, light, maybe 1/10 the capacity of the individual lanes. You've got 113 cars going northbound in the morning, south of the intersection, then 117 north of the intersection. So those volumes are really fairly low, more indicative of the rural nature of the road. And then Taylor Road is kind of ridiculously low volume. There's 7 cars going north and 3 south. I'm sorry, 7 east and 3 south during these are peak hour counts, of course, in the AM peak hour. So, that's another reason to kind of think that, might be better to put more driveways on Taylor Road as well. Looking at the strong or the PM peak hour, pardon me? Looking at the PM peak hour, they're similar, kind of flipped. Southbound traffic on Strong goes up to 142 to 148 traffic, and then their Taylor Road volumes are 14 and 13. So it really is a very, very, very low volume road. I think it's completely discretionary if you would want to impose any particular restriction on driveways. And considering that we've properly proposed driveways for site distance, considering that these are high-end homes, they'd have, they don't want to share driveways, obviously. It's a burden and it's problematic. And, Porter French Road is simply not in the cards, is way too expensive. So for those reasons, we certainly would be looking for a waiver from that section of the access management plan. Finally, folks are talking about, folks are talking about the character of the neighborhood and things like that. It is an open field, but I can guarantee if you build $750,000 houses or whatever, you would be doing some nice landscaping, and maybe Jake could tune in on that. It's a pretty piece of land. There's no doubt about that. It has a nice woods in the back. And I think we've taken into consideration the major factors with how to lay it out and have it be developed. So I did get comments from Fire District, L, and LaBella. I acknowledge all those. If any of you individually want me to address those, I would be glad to, but I didn't really see anything in there that would be problematic. So with that, I'll entertain any questions. Thank you.
Al, got anything?
No questions, Ernie.
Scott?
Well, I have a couple comments and a couple of questions. I guess my comment is, this is kind of similar to what we've seen before with frontage lots on town highways, and we have gotten into several times the issue of access management, and it seems like we gravitate to the site distances as being the item that we sort of hang on to. I'm not sure that this is much different than what we've seen before that way. I get the feeling maybe as a board, we need to do some self-examination on how tightly we want to hold those access management regs that are published in our code, because I can't really think of many projects that have been able to conform with those. That's my comment. My question, I guess, for Doug is, in looking through the LaBella letter, I noticed that Wes flagged the realty subdivision status. Is that problematic for you in terms of the acreage for the lots that you're proposing? Does that affect you or not affect you?
No, I think all Wes was saying is that we have a realty subdivision. We have to go through the full review process with health department and other agencies because of the number of lots we're dividing. I could be wrong, Wes, if I've misinterpreted that. This property actually crosses over to the east side of the road. I think you guys did a 2-lot subdivision over there for the apps. And so this is the property that's left over on the west side of Strong Road. But unless I missed something, Wes, I think it's just a standard realty subdivision process where we go preliminary, final, and
Doug, I believe you're right. the septic, so I think I'll be consulting with Jody Allen at Labella on future preliminary. And some of you may know her, but so I think the realty subdivision rules kick in due to that 5 or more lots being created within any 3-year time span that are less than 5 acres in size. And that kind of kicks in a DOH, Department of Health review for septic systems. And I don't think it's anything out of the ordinary with this particular type of subdivision. So I think that can be done in concert with the town's review.
Yeah, that would be my interpretation as well, Wes. So I appreciate that clarification. Steve, or I don't know if Jake's here or not. I see his little silhouette there. Looks like you've lost some weight, Jake. I don't know. But I don't know if either of you guys have anything you want to add here. It's great to be back and doing something. I appreciate working with this board for many years, as many of you know. And I got bored. But I also try to property and do other things, but I won't bore you with all that. Anyway,
this is Jake Harrington with Build Your Own Home. I'm going to be the home builder on the site. And really the thought process when went into going to lay the site out is if you look at it and from a development standpoint and you get in and you get the houses off the road, the site's really not developable because you have steep slopes, you have wooded areas, and you have so much a massive amount of earthwork, if you could even move it, that you can't develop the property. That's why we stuck with the road frontage lots, and we also thought it was good for the town because it's less impact on you guys from, a maintenance standpoint in terms of being able to have to plow roads and maintain things like that. And, that's why we laid the subdivision out the way we did. And it also, I don't know if you guys have been out to the site, but every one of those lots has absolutely gorgeous views from the back decks or patios, whatever you decide to do. It's just beautiful. It's all rolling hills and wildlife. It's just really, really nice.
I'd follow that up with, and this is Steve Deanna, I'm the developer on the project. I would follow that up with, we tried to keep, the essence of the area out there and, maintaining the open space and keeping in conformity with the regulations. I think the way that the property is laid out, it is, it's similar to the neighboring area, right? It keeps a lot of the aesthetic and environmental aspects to it. And we really thought that minimizing the impact of the area was going to be a benefit. The area is beautiful because it is open and it is, larger lots that keep the, keep all the greatness of what you have there, and it's not congested. And I think what Doug alluded to, and even in Jake's summation there, I think, we really kept to the regulations and wanted to get something that the town and the folks that'll be living there will be very proud of, and that it'll look like it, it had been there for, a while, and it didn't drop in, and it's going to be totally different, that it actually fits with what's there. So that was the intent of all that, and how we laid out the plan.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments? All right, as I said when we started, this is just for sketch application.
Hey, Ernie.
It's not an approval. Yes.
Joe.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make a quick comment about the just the character of the neighborhood comment that we got, and let me share this. So if you're looking at the plan, you see house after house along here, and one of the comments was, well, they're all so close together, and it's not the character of the neighborhood. If you look across the street, they're farther apart. But as soon as I go to the view, and I think, Steve, you may have been commenting on this as well as Doug, but it is rolling hills. Is that area that's going to remain, I'll call it undeveloped for lack of a better phrase, is that going to still be farmed, or is there any intent to allow them to continue having someone farm it? Because otherwise it's going to become kind of overgrown because we can't go out and mow it or, do any other, landscaping. Anybody care to comment on that?
Well, we did have a conversation with the Conservation Board, Joe. That's a good question. The area to what would be the east of the woods, sort of in the background that you're looking at with that photo. We want to be able to kind of mow that a couple times a year. We want to be able to plant gardens back there and things of that nature. The only thing we want to restrict, of course, would be the building of structures. So, they were kind of contemplating, well, do we want them to be able to mow it like a lawn? Most people don't want to mow 3 acres, nowadays. But on the other hand, I think it would be nice to allow the mowing back there. There's really no significant environmental impact. Each individual homeowners could kind of decide how they want their open space to look. But, I hear what you're saying. It's a little bit complicated because it's not, we don't have 15 acres of woods out there to keep as open space. So we got to include the part of the farmland in there, which the pasture land, if you will. And it's, it's in its current state. It has a certain attraction to it. But, as meadow area, to me, that's not objectionable. If you want to let it grow a little higher, as somewhat mowed lawn, it would be okay. So actually, the Conservation Board was kind of said they wanted to contemplate what they thought would be a good, if you want to call it a maintenance program for this area that doesn't include a conservation easement where we're saving woods and streams and all that stuff. And they were kind of leaning towards, allowing some level of mowing. I think it would be nice. The grasses are nice. They're not, they're not weeds, so to speak. But to let them grow up to a couple feet, I don't think is all that bad either. So I think, Steve and Jake, you can certainly chime in on this, but I don't know the danger, if you will, of allowing people to decide what to do with that area as long as they're not tearing it up and as long as they're not building structures on it. It is preserved as open space, and however you maintain that area will have a certain quality to it. And the other thing is, these are going to be upscale homes, and the people are going to want it to look nice. Maybe they'll go back there and they'll plant a bunch of trees. I think we should be able to allow them to do that if that's what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they'll go back there and they'll grow some nice gardens or something like that.
Well, as we go through this, I would expect that the Conservation Board will have some more to say about it, and I'd be interested to hear what they would envision for this. I don't have an objection to leading it that way. I think it's beautiful also. And so the main point was, has it been discussed or thought about how this will look in 20 years, for instance, if it's fallow and it just grows wild, I guess. So,
yeah. Well,
There was also some discussion about, demarcation of the area so that people knew, where it was, and we were obviously open to that. And if that was, I think the suggestion from the board was, either a post or maybe even a boulder or something like that to act as a demarcation for that area. And I think, we're open to those comments and an understanding of, how that should go. But there was healthy discussion, and I think that's kind of an open item to, further work on as the plan formulates.
yeah. Okay. Well, thanks, Steve. So my other comment was about one of the comments I saw is that it's not going to be the same character as what's out there. And admittedly, these are wider lots, but as soon as you go back to the plan, these are still strip lots on the property that you're proposing, rather than putting a road through here that the town's going to have to maintain and take ownership of. I think I would prefer, from the town's perspective, not to have to maintain additional infrastructure. I think Doug, you mentioned that earlier. So those are the couple of points that I wanted to make. So,
Right.
that's all I got, Ernie.
Ernie, I've got a couple of comments, but I don't want to jump in before any of the other planning board members if they've got something.
Anybody else have anything before Wes jumps in? Take it away.
Okay, I wanted to follow up on Scott Harder's comments on access management because, I think he's noticed some history as applications come before the planning board. And I'm sure other planning board members have noticed as well. So I've had some preliminary conversations with Kim Kinsella at the town, and I also followed up with Lorenzo's staff here at Labella, the folks who helped put together the access management plan. That plan was put together by Labella with the assistance of Ontario County Planning Department. And I think Ontario County Planning Department actually created the regulations that were adopted in the town's code, which are now Chapter 55 of the town code. So, and as part of that, during the consultation, Ontario County had us identify and classify some of the local roadways, the town roadways, as quote local. What were they called?
Local through roads.
Local through roads, right? And so what the regulations have done that Ontario County helped put together was basically make it so I think just about every road in the town would need to comply with the driveway separation distance requirements. And those are useful certainly for your more congested areas, or Route 96, Route 251, maybe some of the county roads. But when we're out in the country on these rural roads and these single family homes, they're not traffic generators, right? The peak hour, it's not a traffic destination. You're getting just one or two cars per lot, and so that separation distance, I don't believe comes into play is as critical out in the rural countryside as it is in the more suburban and urban environments. So I'm in the process of drafting a memo. I also mentioned something to the supervisor about my concerns and observations as we've gone through several applications here with the access management code. And I was drafting a memo, and I can I'll note my observations and concerns, and I'll submit that to Kim and Jack for consideration, because it seems like maybe when we are looking at providing waiver after waiver after waiver, it's a similar standard. It's a similar scenario where if someone's asking for a variance,
right,
every time you're coming to the planning board, or every time there's a different applicant coming for a variance, then maybe that code needs to change. Maybe the code is flawed in some way. So I'll continue to work on that, and we can keep you updated.
Hey, thanks, Wes.
That sounds good.
Okay. Anybody have anything else before I go to the resolution? Great. This is a resolution for 1086 Strong Road subdivision at 1086 Strong Road. Today's date, 6/8/21, application number 06SK2021. Whereas the planning board made the following findings of fact, and there are 8. Now therefore be it resolved that regarding the sketch plan application of Steve Deanna of A6 Property Holdings, major subdivision entitled 1086 Strong Road subdivision, drawn by Douglas Eldred, dated May 3, 2021, received by the planning board May 7, 2021. Planning board application number 01SK2021. The planning board acknowledges receipt of a complete sketch plat application. And be it further resolved, Be it further resolved that the planning board secretary forward a copy of this resolution to the applicant. Have a motion?
I'll move.
Joe moves, second, Al seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
There you go.
Thank you, folks. We appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
Good to see you, Steve.
All right.
Take care.
And our last item is for an extension of time, the Royal Car Wash site modification. First 10-day extension request, 23 SB 2020, 607 to 609 Raleigh Road. Zone commercial. Boy,
Bless you.
I generally don't have hay fever, but maybe I do. The owner is Royal Wash Victor LLC. It's zone commercial. Applicant received approval on December 15, 2020 to construct a third stacking lane with pay island, 15 additional vacuum stalls, and 5 employee stalls. The Interstate Thruway Authority has approved the transfer of property and is in the process of closing the sale. Applicant is requesting their first 90-day extension of this approval. Wait a minute. The resolution is for this Royal Car Wash site, 607 to 609 Rowley Road. Today's date, 6/8/21, application number 23 SD 2020. Whereas in a letter dated June 1, 2021, Anthony Daniele of Victor Royal Wash LLC requested a 90-day extension of time for application entitled Royal Car Wash Site Modification. Therefore, be it resolved that the Town of Victor Planning Board grants the first 90-day extension of time for Royal Car Wash Site Modification. Any motion on that?
I'll move.
I'll move.
I'll
Second.
second. I'll second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And that concludes the business of the planning board for this evening. May we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Joe Wolves,
I'll second.
Scott,
Scott seconds. I saw your finger up there.
Which one?
Speaking. Right, the meeting is
I
adjourned.
didn't want to seem too eager, Ernie, that's all.